How are you getting on, lads? Hope you're all keeping well and safe at home and looking after yourself. Just going to do a quick video this week on portfolio layout and presentation. Just before we get started though, a bit of housekeeping. So fair play to all those who have used the forum so far. There's been some good questions asked. Continue to do so. Myself and Trevor will get to the questions as quickly as we possibly can. There's already a good bank of questions up there, so if you have a question for us, please go back to the forum and see if it's been asked already. And if it hasn't, then I have no problem answering it for you then. Just for feedback, in my video last week, I asked you all to send on your work for feedback, and very few of you did this. Now, there's no problem with that. It's not a requirement, but I was only doing it for your own good. So don't expect to come in halfway through the Easter week or halfway through week 12 and ask me to give you feedback on a whole portfolio, because that won't be done. So make use of it now while you have it, and make use of all the resources available to you. So if you're sending on a specific section for feedback, please tell me what section you want feedback on, and I will give it to you as quick as I can. As for the 1:5 drawings, a few questions in about this. What drawings should you include? You should include every drawing that is necessary to construct your house. So if you're doing two different roof types, for example, a pitched roof and a flat roof, you will need to include 1:5 drawings for both of these, and make sure you don't leave any details out. So have a good look at the marking scheme for that. And as Trevor emphasized during the week there will be no extensions given out for this module unless it's for a proper reason, such as a 6-cert. So this week's lab is going to be on portfolio presentation. So when you're submitting portfolios, it is always important to put consideration into the presentation and layout of your work. Now this stands true for both in college, when you're a teacher in school, and when you're applying for jobs. Some of you might apply for jobs in the architecture field or in the design field, so it's good to have a good idea of how to lay out a portfolio. What we've seen with this module is the content is usually quite good, but students seem to fall short on their portfolio presentation and layout. So for example, when applying for jobs, as soon as an employer opens up your portfolio, they have a fair idea of what you're all about and the level you're working at. This stands true as well for an examiner correcting junior cert and leaving cert exams. Once they open their portfolio, they've made a subconscious decision based on what they see on how good the child is. Now, we spoke about this in the labs at the start of the year, how important portfolio presentation is. Just think about when you're in a school correcting leaving cert exams, how many portfolios have to be corrected. So you need to stand out from others. So without having to do the models this year, it gives you a good opportunity to work on your portfolio presentation and layout. So just to talk to you about the key elements of a good portfolio. So the first main one would be good quality sketching. So if you look through your marking scheme there, good quality sketching pops up in nearly every section. So please take your time and put in good quality rendered sketches. Good quality and appropriate images. So firstly, select appropriate images for the page you're working on. And secondly, please choose good quality images, okay, with a high resolution. If we look down the bottom right hand corner here, we can see a high resolution photo versus a low resolution photo. Now when someone opens your portfolio, if they see straight away low resolution photos used, they've made an assumption. This fella hasn't even been bothered to go look for a good quality photo. He hasn't put a lot of work into this portfolio. So please try and use good quality images when you're creating portfolios. So choices of colouring and rendering. I have a good video in there that you can watch in your own time. So it's a clean and neat layout. The use of colour to tell the story, so make things stand out. It's a well thought through layout, so you're not just throwing things down on a page. You've planned your page before you started it, and it has a clear and logical flow. So it's a progressive flow. You're not going back from one thing to another thing to another thing. Now, I have just some websites here that you can keep an eye on. The first is daily, so architecture daily. If I just click into my web browser here and bring it up for you, it's a good website for everything architecture based. The link I've put into the slides for you is actually on a page on how to create good architecture portfolios. So there's a lot of information there of what should go into a good portfolio, how to lay it out neatly, and it gives examples of pages in good portfolios. But there's also lots of other interesting things on the website, like if I go up here into projects, it gives me up loads of different projects here. If I go down to landscape and urban design projects, so that is related to your own topic there that you're doing. Just click into park here, for example. There's lovely sketches and images of park designs, nicely laid out and neat pages as well if you click into them. So this is just one website where you can get ideas for design layout and also how architects go about designing and sketching. The second one here I have is Behance. Now Behance is a website I would have used a lot when I did product design before I went into woodwork teaching. So if I just go out in my browser and click into Behance here. So I had a definition of what Behance was actually for there. So Behance is a social media platform owned by Adobe which aims to showcase and discover creative work. So if we just go into Behance, at the top of the page here, we have loads of different creative jobs, illustration, motion, architecture, product design. So in these categories here, they either have various sketches and designs, or if you use the search bar icon at the top here, you can search architectural portfolios or design portfolios, and you get a few lovely design portfolios. I've opened up a few here. Ready. There's some fine examples of good work here. Good sketches, good plans, nicely laid out. So you can just flick through a few of these in your own time. I would be having a look at these constantly if I were as graphics and woodwork teachers. Portfolios is one of the biggest things you do in assessment wise in graphics and woodwork, and the best way to get good at portfolios is to look at examples of good portfolios, look at how they're laid out, look at what they've used to create them. So keep an eye on them and keep looking at portfolios to give yourselves ideas. So if we just look at these two pages here I've extracted from Behance myself, you can see that it's a very clean, neat, well thought out pages. Okay, so the images that are used are very good. They have high content, good use of color, well defined and well rendered. Okay, the content of these two pages here is very similar to what you've been asked to do in the likes of your urban design section and also in your site layout. So this might be a good portfolio to look at in the context of what you're doing yourselves. On my next slide here, I have actually broken down this page over here on the right hand side. So one thing that might be interesting for you to look at when creating your portfolios is actually graphic design elements or magazine design tips. Okay, so just to hit on it again, when I did product design, we would have learned a lot about laying out pages for magazines and how to lay stuff out aesthetically. So this is just a few of the tips I hear on the right hand side. So the first one would be to plan your layout. So get a scrap piece of A4 page and plan where everything's going to go. You would have a lot of sketches and images gathered in your rough PowerPoint file that we were doing at the start of the year. So just plan where them images are going to go and plan how you're going to lay it out and where you're going to include information on a scrap A4 before you go put it on the PowerPoint at all. If you go straight away to put it down on a PowerPoint file, it gets very frustrating. So plan it out first, give yourself a good idea. Second tip I'd say is use a grid. So when you're using your PowerPoints, I don't know what it is here on my Mac. You're going to have to search it for yourselves there, but there's a way you can get a grid up and break your page up into boxes. I'm using a Mac, so there's no point in me showing you when you're using Windows. But break it up into a grid. The third thing is a focus. So the main focus of the page should be your largest image or your largest piece of information. Now you can have a heading on the page to tell me what's going on the page, or else your focus can tell you what's going on the page. So if you have a good focus on the page, I know straight away what's going on without the use of a heading. But sometimes it is good just to put in a heading. Make sure whoever is looking at the page knows what's going on. This rule of thirds here is used a lot in creating magazines. So what this states, it's kind of like the golden ratio. If you break your page up into thirds horizontally and vertically, the focal points of your page will always land in the intersection of the thirds. So this mightn't be perfect because of the way I scaled the page when I extracted it and put it into PowerPoint. But you can see the main things he wants you to look at the page are nearly falling into these third squares. So that's just something you can think about. The science behind it is that your eye is drawn into that third of the page. The next point I have there is use of white space. So when you're creating portfolios, you do not have to cover the whole page with sketches and text. You can make good use of white space on the page to make the portfolio look clean and neat. As you can hear, he's made great use of white space, which brings me on to my next point on margins. So margins are very something you wouldn't really think about, or you don't think you're doing when you're looking at a portfolio, but it really helps with the layout. So if you're looking here at my margins, I'll start with the D2s. So D2 here, this dimension 2 is equal to dimension 2 at the bottom of the page, which is telling me that they've deliberately stepped down and stepped up the same amount of the page on both sides. And D2 is actually the same. I just didn't put it in. If I get my arrow here, I bet it'll match up. It should be close enough anyway. So you can see how they've laid that out. That wasn't done by accident. That was done on purpose because of the way it, the psychological effect it has on the viewer. Okay. The same thing here. D3 and D3. It's kept in the same side in the page. D1, your margins at the top and the bottom are the same, and usually they keep D1 the same at the side here. I'd say because this was scanned in from my portfolio, I'd say you just have extra space here from the scan. So that's use of margins to make a page more aesthetic. Repeat design elements. If you look at both the images, this is page 1 of the portfolio and this is page 2. So here's the focus on the page. It's taking up one half of the page, and on this page 2, the focus is taking up one half of the page. And there's a nice shadow glow around it here. There's a nice shadow glow around it here. So that's when I instantly look at the page, I know what's going on as I flick through the portfolio. So that theme is carried out through his portfolio. He's just used, flipped it as you go from page to page. Now that is just one way of laying out portfolio. You do not have to do that. So if you have a different way you want to do it, you can do it that way. This is just showing you tips that they do use. So obviously then good use of color and meaningful color and contrast. So I'll just move on. A lot of you at the start of the year would have lots of various images sketched up on A2 pages and A3 pages. Hold on a second. Yep, we're still going. On A2 and A3 pages. So when you cam scan them in, so cam scan is the app you'll be using. It's available on the Apple Store and the Android Store. When you cam scan them in, sometimes it comes out like this, which isn't very aesthetically pleasing. It's nice, kind of like a big dirty grey background on it here. Very hard to read the text. You've scanned the whole page in. You mightn't want this part of the page here. So I'll just show you how I created the image on the right there. If I copy this over to this side, you can pause and slow this down as you need it. Double click on it. I will format the picture, crop it on out what I don't need. Now I'm going to try and keep it in the golden ratio still, as close as I can, make it aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to enlarge it here. As you can see, the grey is still in the background. Go over to my corrections and edit the brightness and the contrast. So you can play around with this in your own time. If I just change the brightness and the contrast, it immediately takes the grey from the background, makes it look a bit cleaner. I still can't read it though, so I'm going to go back up into my corrections. This is very handy when you're using black and white. Sharpen it. and there it is a lot easier to comprehend and read, and looks a lot better than the photo on the left hand side. So that's just one way you can edit your images. Also, when you're using CamScan and you scan it in, click magic color on CamScan and makes the images look immediately better, especially if they're sketched. Now when you're sketching as well, I'll show you on this page. If I double click on this image and you're going into corrections, say the corrections, it's color. By you changing the color saturation, you can make the drawings look completely different as well. So it might take away smoothing out bad coloring in or bad markers, so you can smoothen that out using your correction section up there as well. Just when we're talking about sketching here as well, a lot of the sketches you would have done would have been loose sketches. They weren't very neat, but by using what I did on the previous page, you can input them into your portfolio in a very neat way, like he has done here. So these are very loose, sketchy, designerly sketches that he has just removed the background of and made them look very neat on this page. There is a time when you need sketchy sketches and a time when you need nice rendered sketches. That's for you to choose, but just when you're using nice rendered sketches, keep them as neat as possible, keep crisp lines, and make good use of your colors. So this video I have here is actually a video I was just on Facebook during the week and I found it. It's a lovely video on design sketching. So I forget what the designer's name is, but he was just going through his design process. So when he's coming up with ideas and he wants to make the good ideas stand out when he's presenting it to his boss. So as you can see here, he has loads of different ideas and they're all overlapping each other. So he just goes through rendering and marking them to make them pop out from the page or make them sit into the background. I think he also talks about annotation and arrows there, which might be beneficial for you too. And then finally, on the last slide that I have here, I'll just remove this box, is a nice brief video on color pencil techniques by Architecture Daily. It's a great video. This fella shows how he created this nice landscape sketch here, which might be beneficial for you when you're doing your site layout plans. So he just shows you how he laid that out and how he colored it in to make it look aesthetically pleasing. Now, if you're more advanced in the sketching and use of Pro Markers and you have Pro Markers at home, which you all should have, there's a lovely video here on advanced Pro Marker tips for landscapes. So this woman here goes through how to draw trees and bushes, etc. from above. Now these look like very complex drawings, but if you follow along with her, they are very simple. You won't believe how they're simple they are to follow and comprehend. So that might be a nice video for you to watch. I've included a few links that I was using here at the end. I'll put up these slides separately so you can click on them. And that'll be the end for this week. I try to keep it as short as I can. Obviously, if you watch the videos I intended you to watch, it'll last a lot longer. I'd advise you to watch the videos. It'll be a great help for you in these portfolios. Now that the projects aren't being handed up, you want to make a great job of these portfolios, make it stand out to me or Trevor when they're being corrected, okay? So make yours stand out from everyone else's. Once again, if you want feedback, don't be afraid to email me. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to put it up on the forum, but read the forum first to see if it has already been answered. Have a good week.